Wonka fan, but if you like Willy Wonka, I can definitely see people liking that particular set. I happen to think that it's more of a niche set than anything else, but yeah, I mean, nothing like super disappointing from my end, but nothing really exciting, which is why I had to do a breakdown video. What do you think?
I loved the color. I thought it was really fun to see all the different like lollipops and things bring a pop of color, but it wasn't also a set that I was like, oh, that's so cool, I need to go out and get that either. So kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I did like the way that they use angles again. It's very similar to the Italian Riviera, even the Viking Village. Other idea sets where they are able to use some angularity to maybe change the look of the set a little bit. I know some people actually were critical of the color, so I'm curious what you all think in the comments. Like, do you think there's too much brown? Do you think there's not enough pop or contrast? But I mean, yeah, I think it's a decent set.
Our next question comes from Lego Lifter 98, who asks, do you plan on ever applying for LAN? I hope you do well enough on this channel that you don't need to.
This is a question we get a lot, and I'm glad that people ask it because it's one that I think is worth answering periodically, right, as a channel grows. We're now getting above 12,600 subscribers, which is awesome and humbling. But no, we have no real plans on applying to be a part of LAN. LAN, by the way, stands for the Lego Ambassador Network. And here's why, from my vantage point. I don't know if Lego would take us because there are a lot of people in the United States already in LAN, but also I really like being independent. And I like the fact that when you watch our reviews, you know that it's coming from people that are trying to be honest and upfront about Lego. And we spend our money on those sets. Like, we're not getting discounts, there's no special deals or anything like that. We decide when we're gonna buy sets, and we use the money we get from your views to buy those sets. So I like putting my money where my mouth is, even though I definitely understand the appeal of people being in the LAN and not having to buy all of those really interesting Lego sets every month. But that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if you've changed on your opinion of joining LAN at any point in time.
No, good. We'll just keep it on independently. Good.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Malted Barley Man 7831. Which set do you like more? 31120, that's the 2024 3-in-1 medieval castle, or the Horse Knight castle?
Oh yeah, so this is a good question because I think a lot of people loved the 3-in-1 castle from a few years ago, right? That was part of that initial rebirth of what I would call neoclassic castle. You have the medieval blacksmith, then you got that Creator 3-in-1 castle, then you got the Lion Knight's castle, plus you had the Forest Hideout gift with purchase, and then Magisto's Workshop gift with purchase, and then you had some of these, like I think the explosion of the Bricklink Designer program in terms of something like more sets available, and every single time there's a castle set. So it's like that beginning of the rebirth of that movement. I think it was also a really interesting set because it looked pretty good and had a lot of just creativity behind it with the Lego community. And if you look at Rebrickable, there's so many different models for that. The 2025 Medieval Horse Knights Castle is better in terms of minifigs. And we talk about this in our review. The minifigs are elite. It's like we're getting these really nicely done, highly detailed, crisp prints that I think a lot of fans of like Star Wars and other licensed themes wish they had. But the castle itself is full of trade-offs, and the one that I noted in the review is that the front towers are really puny, and you can't even fit a minifig in them. Like, it's kind of embarrassing how that works out. So that one I think really deserves having multiple sets combined, which we will be working on. I'm working on our last August review. It's for the Temple Bounty, and spoiler alert, like, this build is insanely cool. But review to be coming in the next little bit. But yeah, I think we're going to be doing a family project, building a big castle out of the 3 copies of the Horse Knights castle we have.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what we come up with. I'm curious also to see if anybody out there posts Rebrickable instructions for 3 copies. Otherwise, we're going to have to like figure this out on our own, which is worth doing.
Oh yeah, it's always good.
Yeah.
Sticking with that set, Jacob Elmsley 3862 asks, after building the 3 variations out of 3 copies of the Horse Knight Castle, how many pieces did you have left? Would it be enough to make the keep an open book interior?
There actually were quite a few pieces left after having those 3. We took all of them apart as we started moving into our colossal build, if you will. But yeah, if you look at the combinations video, we actually do have a spot where I hold up the bag of leftover pieces from the 3 models, and it's pretty sizable. I will note that, like, the first model, the A model, uses almost all of the pieces, and it's by design. The next 2 models use fewer and fewer pieces, so there's quite a bit left over after you're done building the 2nd and 3rd models, which, if you have a copy for each of those, really adds up to a lot of useful pieces. Bricks, plates, tiles, and those kinds of things. The only thing they use all of in all 3 models are the minifigs and some of the accessories. So there's quite a bit left over that you could modify any of those B or C models with additional components.
All right, now a little bit more of a personal question from Malkier83. Did the kids grow out of it? My niece always looks for them when I watch your reviews since they're similar age.
Great question. So one of the things we struggle with is, obviously, we do a lot of building as a family. We don't always show that on camera. Part of it is because our kids are either bashful or very, very introverted, right? So they are careful about how often they're on camera and all of that. But yeah, we do some projects. We did a recent one this summer with Autumn, helping to build custom battle packs for the Horse Knight's Castle, or no. The minifig vending machine, because we had the new castle factions with that. So we built our own little creations and then accessorized minifigs based on that. So we did that together, and that's on video. They've helped build quite a few of the sets. Kiara loved the Neuschwanstein Castle, just loved building it, but she, didn't really want to be on camera for that. So we do pick and choose the spots where the kids are on camera. Typically, you're going to see them with like build challenges or custom builds, or our modular city updates. Those are the most likely videos where you will see our kids.
Yeah, we initially started this channel to show how we build together, but what we found is that the kids just didn't want to do the videos that much, and we decided it was more important to respect their wishes on that than to push it for every video. So you won't see them very often, but they are still into Lego, they do still build, and so no, they haven't really grown out of it, just not into the video part of it. Yeah,
and Autumn does want to be in the occasional video, so I think you're more likely to see her than Kiara. Autumn also is really interested in getting into some of the behind the scenes work with thumbnails and even maybe some video editing. So we're trying to build that capacity in with her. But yeah, like, it's hard for kids, I think, to really want to be in it if that's not their personality. And so that's why, certainly with reviews, most of the sets we've purchased this summer, the kids have helped in some way, shape, or form, but they're not always in the videos.
Our next question comes from Laura Wilson from the UK, and she wants to know if we know why we get sets later than the UK, as they've had the City Tower and the Dream sets for quite a while now. They look amazing built, and the City Tower looks good in a city.
Gosh, that is such a great question. This frustrates me. I'm building the Temple Bounty. That's been available, I think, in Europe since June 1st, and it came out here in the United States on August 1st. And I think this is something that confounds a lot of LEGO fans. LEGO, a couple of years ago, actually announced they were stopping that practice of staggered releases across the different global regions, only to go out and then violate that pledge within the next year or two. And so it's frustrating for me for a couple levels. One, of course, it's nice if I can get the same sets as everyone else whenever, right? So if there's a global release date, a global retirement date. From a content creating perspective, it also poses a challenge because I would love to be able to do a review and it's basically equal for everybody else around the country or the world, with the exception, of course, of the LAN members who get the advanced copies and will publish their reviews of certain sets right, before they're actually released, so that you can get reviews of that before you make the decision to purchase. So it actually hurts us a little bit from a content creating standpoint, but I don't know entirely why, other than from a couple of years ago, Lego commenting that it has to do with supply chain and the ability, especially that time when they were doing it, 2021, 2022, there were some supply chain disruptions. And so they just weren't able to get the product over to the United States in this particular case to have it released on the same day. But they didn't want to hold up the release for other regions. Maybe that happened again this year for some of those sets. I know there's a lot of uncertainty out there in the supply chain and logistics community, so that could be playing a role. That's my best guess, but I have not seen any press release from Lego or any comment from them about it.
RJ Ray 2883 asks, is there a way to fix some of the Arkham Asylum's drawbacks? In other words, is it salvageable?
So this is a good question that hopefully, if we get the set in September, we'll be able to identify in the review. What are some of the things that are fixable about it? Now, to his question, the things that I am critical of it include the lack of sidewalk all the way across, the inverted corner. That's going to make it problematic for a modular building or something that fits within your modular city. That's actually a pretty significant flaw in my opinion because it disrupts what Lego has done for every other Marvel modular and official Lego modular building. I know this would be the first ever DC Marvel or DC modular. So that's one of the flaws. I think that there could be some flaws when it comes to just the gate, even the inverted corner might run into some issues in your city depending on how you structure your city. So that's something that could be customizable, but we look forward to doing that. We were actually able to do this for the Botanical Garden last year, which was not an official modular set, but it didn't take a lot to actually transform it into a modular. It really only took a handful of tiles, and you didn't have to do a whole lot of addition to an already expensive set. So that's something that I will probably be adjusting, either in the review or maybe a separate video on top of the review, depending on, because those reviews tend to be pretty substantial because it's a $300, 3,000 plus piece set. So those reviews in and of themselves are pretty substantive. So we'll see. That's something I would like to do if we get our hands on that set in September.
Recently, we found out about the Death Star set coming up, and it was a bit controversial. The comments on our video about it were controversial.
Let's go.
There was a lot of variety within those comments. Lots of people contributed their opinions on the set. Awesome. And also your take on it. Yeah. So tell me, why is this set so controversial?
Well, I think first of all, this is what's beautiful about the adult Lego fan community and the community that's on YouTube is that people are passionate about the product. And then when you add into it that it's Star Wars, that passion only grows. I mean, there's a really cool thing about the Star Wars fan community about it in regards to its passion and in some ways its loyalty to both brands. Because Star Wars is just a huge brand. Lego is the #1 toy company in the world, and you've got this marriage of the two, and I think that really kind of adds to that dynamic. I also think that there's a lot of passionate fans out there that are upset with Lego as it pertains to the prices that they've been seeing for Lego sets. And so in August, for instance, the prices just saw a huge increase for what you would expect to pay based on the pieces and the number of minifigs, even accounting for those sets being Star Wars. So I think there's some frustration that's built into that for some fans, which is maybe why they agreed with me when I tried to make the argument that, or I made the argument that I personally am rooting for the set to fail because I think it'll teach Lego a lesson. I can also see why people wouldn't like that take, in part because they like the set and they think there's nothing wrong with it, which is fine. Like, go out, enjoy the set, look at it. If you have the money, buy it, that's fine. So yeah, I definitely see that passion coming out. And I think anytime you take a stance on something, either positive or negative, people are going to disagree with it, which is awesome. Like, I love seeing the number of comments that were coming in on that video because it shows that people are engaging and people have opinions. And so I just kind of sit back and smile. I think it's great. Now, I got to ask you, like, follow up, like, because she read more of the comments than I did, right? So, like, what was your? I mean, you kind of summarized it a little bit. I'm curious, did you feel that passion coming through in the comments?
Yeah, I mean, people just had very strong opinions in every way possible. So you may fall anywhere in the spectrum, from complete agreement to complete disagreement, from liking the set to thinking Lego's justified to thinking not justified, just all over the place with everyone feeling very strongly about it.
A couple other things I think that make it controversial, right, is the fact that it is the first $1,000 Lego set. And I don't think it has to do anything with the Death Star or even Star Wars, but the fact that Lego is offering a $1,000 set, and I know that I think somebody did comment, like, do you really know it's $1,000? The rumors that have been out there have been very consistent and very strong now that we've seen images of the box. Like, it's I'd be shocked if it wasn't $1,000. Or more, because Lego seems to be doing that with their prices these days. But yeah, I mean, that in and of itself is controversial. Like, $1,000 for a boutique toy, right? I think there's some people that do have problems with that. So that's one element. Another thing about it is that it's not the full Death Star. And so a lot of fans are thinking
there were
sphere.
opinions about that too.
And I mentioned that in the video, so I don't want to rehash that
Actually,
too much.
I think this might even come into our next question.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Which, from said 6, how many of these sets would I need to purchase and combine to make an entire sphere?
More than you probably want to, because it's not half of a sphere, right? Like, it is a cross section, and so you would not only have to buy multiple copies in order to get it to work in terms of the size, you know, the spherical component of the Death Star, you'd have to alter it significantly and customize it to get the actual sphere shape. Otherwise, you basically just have something that's like, you know, this deep and it never actually rounds out. So it really is not meant to be the Death Star in its totality. And I think, again, that's one reason why it's controversial. I don't know if you really want, I mean, it's a massive set.
So our next question kind of is the opposite side. Dr. Jasinski says, what I wonder is how many parts would you actually need to build a half shell with the modern building techniques that LEGO uses today to contain a comparable number of scenes from Star Wars? Considering the small pieces used today, this could easily be 15,000 to 20,000 pieces. Almost no one could actually afford that. I don't want to defend LEGO here in any way, but maybe such considerations played a role in the choice of form.
Absolutely, right? I mean, like, LEGO made it, so there are a couple of things that LEGO could have done here, right? Number one, they could have said, okay, we're going to have a Death Star that is a sphere, and it's not going to be massive. It is going to be big, but it's going to, and $200, but it's not going to be this thing. And it would just be round, and you're probably not going to have any sort of play set dynamic like the previous Death Stars from a while ago. Or you go with what they chose here, which has its pros, right? You don't have to worry about a massive sphere taking up an entire table. It is something you might even be able to, you know, get a shelf on a stand like this. We have our Module Space containers behind us. I haven't measured I don't remember the dimensions of the Death Star, but it could fit in something like this. Or it could, you know, be something you hang up on a wall. Or, you know, I mean, like, there are different ways to display it that give you options. I mean, you've seen the Millennium Falcon at the Lego store. I mean, that, like, where do you put that? Yeah, right? I mean, like, I know there are some, like, custom coffee tables where you can put it, like, okay. So the decision was conscious by Lego to give us a cross-section. And then if you think about how much it would take to have detailed interiors and the entire shell of the set, like, yeah, Doc, who made the comment, is right. It would be so massive, so parts-intensive, that people couldn't afford it. So that's the decision that LEGO made. I understand that. But I do think that people are disappointed with that. And I think if they either gave better minifigs or went with a sphere, you might see more people happy with it.
All right, moving on from that topic. Take a deep breath.
Star Wars! Yes!
All right, shifting gears. Which sets are popular for Rebrickable instructions?
Well, definitely castle sets. We talked earlier about the 2021 Medieval Castle, the 3-in-1 from Creator. That one has a ton. I think there are two types of instructions that you will see on Rebrickable. The first one would be taking the pieces of a set or multiple copies of a set and creating something else out of that. And so a lot of your creator sets, even some of your larger idea sets and your larger icon sets, you'll see some of that because there's just a lot more versatility with the pieces that you get. The other component to that is people that will then see something, love it, and then build their own things to add to it. And so a great example of this is the Lion Knight's Castle, which not only has a lot of instructions for it that are alt builds with the pieces that are available, but addition builds where you can take another copy of that or your own pieces from a collection or order them on Bricklink and buy the pieces to make extensions to that castle. So I do think castle typically lends itself well to that. Modular buildings lend itself well to that because people can design additional floors or things like that, as well as any set that has a lot of useful pieces. And I think that tends to be creator, icons, and ideas. I think those are the three themes that really set up well for that. The last one I'll mention is, of course, Star Wars. I think a lot of people will build custom add-ons to Star Wars sets or customize some of the sets they don't like, or maybe even build budget alternatives, given how expensive Star Wars has gotten, for those types of vehicles or ships. So I think those are the most popular ones, but I haven't done a full survey, so I want to put that in the disclaimer. Yeah.
Okay, our last question.
I've got one for you after you're done with this. So, yeah, we're going off the cuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you look like the Pope?
Do you have the...
That darned imperialist.
That darned imperialist wants to know why I look like the Pope. You know what? That is flattering. I am not Catholic, even though I work at a Catholic institution, the university. Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought of it that way. Should I get like a... Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. That'd be sacrilegious to have a Pope hat.
Yeah,
do reviews.
probably not.
Yeah, but that's cool that I look like the Pope, who's older than me. Do I look that old?
I was looking at some pictures to kind of compare, and I'm like, I don't think you look that old.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know, he's a Midwestern American dude that's middle-aged to old, and I'm middle-aged Midwest American dude. There you go.
I guess there you go.
All right, so here's my question for you. So if you haven't been paying attention, Brickset.com is doing like their set of the decade or something like that competition. And in these semifinals are two sets that we have spent quite a bit of time on in this channel over the years. One of them is Rivendell. The other one is the Lion Knight's Castle. They are head-to-head matchup in the semifinals, facing the winner of Galaxy Explorer versus the Medieval Blacksmith. I know you would absolutely go for the Medieval Blacksmith in the first match, but Rivendell versus the Lion Knight's Castle, which one are you
Oh, that's a
going
tough
with?
question.
I know, that's why I only ask the tough questions.
Those two sets are really great sets. Yeah, that is a tough one.
One's right down here. You can't see on camera. One's down here, and the other one is over there. So that's what she's looking around. Just kind of like getting some side observations.
Oh, you know, I just really love kind of like garden feel of Rivendell. It just feels really natural, full of light, and so it feels good. I like that one.
All right.
I have to go with that one, I guess.
I will as well. And when they announced the set, my thumbnail actually questioned, is this the set of the decade? I argued then that it was going to be the set of the decade. I would argue still to this day it is the set of the decade. So even as much as I love the Lion Knight's Castle, Rivendell. Yeah. All right, back to you.
All right, that's the end of our questions today. Thanks for watching. Remember to put your questions down below so we can ask those next month. And please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell for notifications. And always remember, keep building together.